Well, with me today happens to be a really cool friend of mine that I met many years ago now while driving down the highway in my hometown. On the side of the road next to his house was this sign that said Star Wars Store. Well, of course, I didn't have any idea what that really meant, although it said Star Wars, so I was pretty excited. So I, of course, ventured in. Now, this was an amazing experience. They had everything Star Wars. It was amazing. And I found that the gentleman that owned this whole crazy menagerie of Star Wars stuff was none other than Don. And your last name is
Zucker.
Zucker, and it was Zucker and Sons Star Wars Store, is what I recall.
Correct.
So I met you many, many years ago, and Don, you are probably the ultimate Star Wars fan.
Well, Mr. Moyer, we go way back when we were in our infancy, which was about 18 years ago.
Has it really been that long?
It's been that long. You know, it all started as a 3-month summer project for my 10 and 13-year-old, and hey, we just never got around to closing.
Well, tell me about that. What was the project, and was it for school, or was it just something they wanted to do?
Well, we had been collecting Star Wars items for about 2 years when Lucas reintroduced everything. And in 97, we had filled up the house. So I thought, you know, they're now 10 and 13. They need something to do for the summer. We're out of room. Hey, it sounds like a fun project. So the three of us opened up a little dinky store with what we had. And at the end of the summer, they were having way too much fun. And we decided, well, you know, the rent's cheap here. Let's just keep going. And, you know, 2 or 3 times we got close to closing, and then somebody would come in and say, wow, this is a pretty cool store. So we'd go for another 6 months.
Well, you really snowballed as far as merchandise is concerned, because this place is packed to the brim. By the way, we're sitting in the back room of the Star Wars store. Well, there really isn't a back room, but actually the back room for all of our Star Trek lovers is a Star Trek room. There's just a little tiny room with a bunch of Star Trek stuff in it, but mostly it's Star Wars. But we're sitting in the back by the Nirvana display because Kurt Cobain lived here in Aberdeen.
Correct. Kurt was from Aberdeen, born here, went to school here, and we've set up just a little small information center for the people that come from, you know, all over the world. And
which we'll get. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute. But anyway, we're sitting in the back room next to Temptress, and we've got I don't know how the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man got here, but he's here too. But there's just tons of different Star Wars stuff everywhere. And we're not talking just a little bit. We're talking it's packed to the brim. In fact, if you walk through and you're a little larger like I am, you have to be careful of not knocking things over.
Well, I've tried to keep the aisles open so I wouldn't be accused of being a hoarder. I don't want that TV camera set here.
No. Now, you've been interviewed on a lot of popular places. Now, you just told me about a rerun of a particular program. What were you on, and what was that all about?
Well, you know, last September, Evening Magazine called me, and they wanted to stop and do a little shot on our store. They were doing a thing around Highway 101, places of interest. And it aired last November, just before Thanksgiving. And it's amazing the amount of people that must watch that show. Because next day at Walmart, people were going wild.
They were like, hey, I saw you on TV.
And now it's almost June 1st. Well, thanks to them, I don't know why, but it was wonderful. They aired it again just before the Memorial Day holiday. Wow. And, man, did that generate the business. So
wow, that's pretty amazing. Free advertising.
Free advertising.
We like that.
We love it.
So tell me a little bit of history, Don. Why do you like Star Wars so much? When was the first time you saw it, and why have you taken it on as something that you really, really love? It's really you've immersed yourself in it.
Rick, I love it. And I always have. I've been a sci-fi fan forever. I was watching Flash Gordon in 1947.
That's cool. The sparklers coming out the end of the plastic ships.
Right, and a little smoke. George Lucas and I are about the same age, and I think he was watching that, and I think that inspired him too. But when Star Wars came out, I was already pretty old, and I can remember sitting in the theater thinking, wow, this is a wonderful, great movie, but gee, I'm a little too old to have any fun, collect toys. I've got some obligations and all this. Well, 15 years elapsed, and I got remarried, had 2 boys, and in '94 they were now 7 and 11, and Lucas stirred everything up again, and they got into Star Wars. So I thought, well, gee, here's my chance. So the 3 of us went on a fill the house up 2-year collecting tangent.
So where did you get all the stuff from?
Well, when we started with one 15-inch old Darth Vader original.
You still have it?
No, we sold it. We were on a little vacation trip, and we stopped at an old antique place down in Oregon somewhere, and I can remember me and my 2 boys, gosh, there's Darth Vader, and we bought it, and man, we just started to collect, and we would go almost every day after school, weekends, to different places. And a little while later, people started to call us because they knew we were interested in buying whatever, and it just sort of mushroomed.
Wow. And that's how it works, isn't it?
That's how it works.
So you remember seeing Star Wars for the very first time. Do you remember where you were?
I do. I was working at Goldberg Furniture. We just happened to have a theater next door.
The Aberdeen Theater.
Yes, and when Star Wars came, every afternoon I would make some excuse, slip over to the theater,
And watch it again.
Watch it again.
So how many times do you think you've watched the show now?
Well, not counting, we keep about 10 TVs in the store playing different Star Wars shows and items. Leave that probably a couple hundred times.
Oh, at least.
At least.
Yeah. I was going to say, I actually saw Star Wars in the same theater.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yep.
I was 11 years old.
We even did a Star Trek furniture window because the line was standing out
that's
in front
hysterical.
of our store every day.
Why not?
So we kind of had a space age furniture window.
Oh, that's so funny. That's hilarious. Okay, so there's 6 movies. There's the Clone Wars movie. There's tons of stuff out there. There's the Christmas special that I don't know if you ever saw. Out of all those, which movie is your very favorite of all the Star Wars movies?
Well, the Christmas special is horrible, but I sell a copy of that every 6 weeks. Somebody wants to watch it. But you can only watch 15 minutes at a time.
Before you start like melting down.
But my favorite is, of course, the first one, the opening scene. The special effects were so far ahead of anything we'd ever seen. And even though I was 35 at the time, it still blew me away.
What's your opinion on the remastered stuff? Do you think I rumor is that they're going to come out with another set of Blu-rays, but this time the originals. What's your opinion on all the messing around that Lucas has done with it?
Well, it really doesn't bother me. I think the biggest reason is you just cannot duplicate the magic of 77.
No.
There is no way. No. So we kind of are just happy with whatever we get. I'm not one of those purists that raises hell on everything. And after watching the last 3 movies, which were the first 3, I've kind of grown to like them. Maybe it's just because they've grown on me, but of course nothing still beats the first 3 and never will. So we're just happy with whatever comes out because, man, it'll keep me in business, and I'm loving it.
I was just thinking that very same thing. Okay, so the new movies are coming out. J.J. Abrams is at the helm. There's a lot of rumor and speculation going on. What do you think they're going to be like?
I really think that they're going to be spectacular. The momentum, already the movie's a year and a half or something away, and already the excitement is just, it is. And people coming in, that's all they're talking about. And, of course, all the rumors, that's just going to be crazy for the next 18 months because nobody really knows.
I know. That's the whole thing. They're keeping such a tight wrap on everything. And then what people think they know, they don't really know.
Don't really know.
And what we found out with J.J. Abrams on the Star Trek movies is he kind of throws a little thing out there and deceives you a little bit.
Well, I'm sure they're doing some of that, and of course, Disney. They know how to promote.
Oh yes. Oh, they are big marketers.
They'll get their investment back in the first year.
Probably a whole lot more. Probably in the first week.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, I also know that when you hand something to Disney, it turns into gold usually.
Well,
And this was already gold.
well, it with Disney, it'll just keep it going forever.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever been to a Disney park on Star Wars Day?
No, I haven't.
I've heard they're really cool.
Well, it's probably something like the 30-year celebration in L.A.
Right.
back about 7 years ago.
You went to that, right?
Yes, I did. That was 7 days of utter craziness.
Did you love it?
I loved it. There were 300 dealers there, all the major toy companies, probably 50,000 people a day, and probably 1,000 of them were dressed up in outrageous costumes.
Wow.
I was totally exhausted at the end of 7 days.
And your feet hurt.
So I think what that did is just kind of cemented everything for me.
That probably did. That's pretty cool. What's the most expensive Star Wars related item that you've ever sold or bought? But how about sold first and then bought?
Okay. Well, because we're a family-oriented store, I don't have a lot of the $25,000 items that
Yeah, like somebody's going to come in and buy that.
like the original movie Death Star.
Right.
And but we keep a few things in the store just to make it look like we're cooler than we are. I sold the Han and Carbonite, and that's probably the most expensive item I had. And that
Went for a pretty penny.
yes, it did. But I give them a good deal. I think
You
it's
always do.
I think it's going into some kind of Star Wars themed pub in Seattle. I'm not sure.
How cool is that?
How cool is that? But I will find out where it's going to end up.
I took a lot of pictures of that coming into the store. It was pretty neat.
Yes, that was. And then the big Millennium Falcon that Toys R Us had for display. We have one of those hanging in the store, and it looks very impressive in here.
It is pretty cool. So those are the most expensive ones that you've sold. What about bought? Is there anything that you look back and go, I can't believe I paid that much money for that?
Yes, but usually they're smaller items under a couple hundred, and I could kick myself. But I look in the price guide, and they're $10.
It's like, what?
What? The Han and Carbonite was the most expensive thing I bought, so
And you got your investment back?
we've got the investment back, and now we're looking for something as cool, but maybe slightly different.
Well, I've noticed over the years, I've seen you have had several pretty neat, fancy ticket items like the entire Yoda.
Yes, we had the life-size Yoda about 3 different times.
Yeah, and he's sold every time.
Sold every time.
He's pretty cool, though. I mean, when you sit there and look at him, and he's got all that detail and everything, it's like, I like him, I do.
And we've just got a life-size Watto, and we've got him dressed up, and he's looking pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, and of course, you can't spend Republic credits here, right?
Right, only money.
I knew that. Somehow I knew that was going to come out. Okay, so people from all over the world come in to the shop. Even when I've been here, the limited amount of times I've been here, and I've been here a lot, scrounging around in the Star Trek room, I have heard all sorts of accents. I've seen short, I've seen tall, I've seen skinny, I've seen fat, I've seen just about every type of person comes in here, but they're from all around the world. Tell me a little bit about where the places these people come from.
That's the most fun thing, most fulfilling thing about the store is all at one time I can have 15 different ethnic groups in here, and they're all talking to each other. They're all loving it. It's like we're one big family. And so, for a split second, you think the world is a pretty good place.
Yeah. I've noticed that. I've noticed that in fandom, no matter what the group is, if they all have that same particular thing in common, they seem to be a lot kinder to each other and have they open up quicker, and you can carry on some pretty cool conversations when you like the same type of stuff.
One day I just was noticing we had a couple of motorcycle guys here, some Mormon missionaries, a nice Jewish family from New York, and I can't remember who else. But they were all conversing with each other and swapping stories
About Star Wars.
about Star Wars. It was wonderful.
Now, see, that's pretty cool when something like that goes on, and it happens all the time. You have a book in your store that you encourage everyone to sign. It's your guest book. And just when you were coming to do the interview, you opened it up and read through, and gosh, we had people from, where were they all from?
Well, just yesterday we had people from 5 different states and 2 different countries. We had them from Colorado, Massachusetts, Oregon, California, North Dakota. I don't get a lot of people from North Dakota, but they were here. So I had them put 2 pins in the map.
There you go. And your map is filling up.
It is. We've probably had over people that's actually signed the guest book. I've kept a guest book every year, and we've got about 20 guest books full. And I kind of figured probably 25, 30,000 people have signed the book.
And that's not all the people that have come,
That's
though.
not all the people that have come. That's just the people that I've remembered to remind to sign.
You're here at the Star Wars store in Aberdeen, Washington. What's your first impression as you walk in?
Holy moly. There's some people who really love Star Wars.
It's true. Where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles.
Wow, cool. And
Cycling back down home.
okay, so you got your biking garb on there, and you got a friend with you here?
Yep, I'm Jason. I'm from Minnesota, and we met yesterday, so we're biking together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Get to meet cool friends out on the road.
Yep.
What's your first impression when you walk in here?
This is. I have no words. This is crazy. I'm speechless.
And you haven't even seen it yet.
He actually calls his bike the Stormtrooper.
Well, there you go.
It's black and white, so.
Yeah, well, see, you're going to find all sorts of stuff in this store. It's pretty amazing. Well, thanks for coming by, you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you remember the most unique place somebody's been from?
Yes, I had some people just a couple months ago from Siberia.
Siberia.
And several people lately from the Ukraine, which is
Wow.
But my favorite was several years ago. I had 3 generations: a grandson, a son, and a grandfather from Russia. And the grandfather was probably 70, and he worked for a newspaper. And he told me that, well, he was having the most fun of the 3, even though he couldn't speak English, but he was lightsabering around. the little boy could speak English, so we were able to communicate with him, but he said he was going to do a little blurb in whatever Russian newspaper it was on our store. So
Absolutely amazing.
that was incredible.
Have you had any celebrities show up?
I haven't had anybody from the movie. Of course, that's just a matter of time.
It'll happen.
But one day, John Cena and his girlfriend came in, the world champion wrestler. I don't follow wrestling, so I had no idea who they were. I just knew that they were a little different.
They were famous.
And they had a great time. Bought a bunch of Star Wars items, had me ship it to them.
Wow.
It wasn't until they left the store that I
Figured out who they were.
Well, I didn't. Somebody told me, "Gee, do you know who that was?" But I think they had a really good time, and maybe they loved the not knowing who they were.
Right.
And we've had the B-52s.
That's cool.
That's cool. And the lead guitar for the Guess Who it was just Bertrand Cummings.
Right.
But I get a few people. Oh, the gentleman that ran for the governor back about. He's been here 3 times.
Wow.
And our new congressman, Derek Kilmer,
He loves it.
he loves it. He's been here 3 times.
That's so cool. Wouldn't it be something to have one of the stars of Star Wars walk in the door someday?
Well, that's what's so fun about coming to work every day, and I really don't call it work. I come to art. That's what Mel Brooks said. You don't come to work, you come to art.
That's true.
And I never know who or what's going to walk in the door next. So every day is just fun, wonderful, and Dino Rossi was the guy that was
right. That's right. I forgot.
about 3 weeks ago.
Wow, he liked it too. That's hilarious. Very cool. All right. Besides Star Wars, what are some of your other favorite science fiction franchises?
Well, it'd have to be Flash Gordon.
What'd you think of the movie with Queen? Flash.
And, I was a fan of Star Trek, 10 years before Star Wars. Right. But because of my new family, my boys, they weren't into Star Trek, so that's why we weren't collecting Star Trek. But over the years, people would come in with Star Trek, not knowing the difference because they found it in that.
Has star in it, doesn't it?
And I'd tell them, gee, that's really nice, but we only buy Star Wars items. So they kind of sigh and say, well, make us an offer. So I've ended up with a room of Star Trek items. We used to keep the doors shut, but in our old age, we've mellowed out, and but we sell quite a bit of Star Trek stuff.
You do, so I've noticed that.
From stragglers.
I know, like this crazy guy named Moyer.
Yeah.
He sends toys all over the world to his friends.
Yes, I just got a tricorder in. I'm trying to tempt Rick here with.
Yeah, you were making the noises. It was from the original series, and it's making all sorts of cool noises. I was impressed.
Box, and it works.
I noticed that.
Yes.
I just got done borrowing some action figures from you and making pictures. I still have to show you the pictures. It was hysterical. I put them in everyday live action type of scenarios in my yard. And there's about 10 of them, and they're hilarious.
That's the fun thing about Star Wars is we just sit around here on downtime and come up with really crazy, fun ideas. Like I made Pizza the Hut out of real pizza. It's about the size of a basketball. Wow. And, it's gotten famous. People have taken pictures of it from all over the world.
Isn't it all moldy now?
Well, we don't know what's underneath.
I don't want to know.
It was real pizza, and we put it over a big flour pot and baked it, dried it for 2 weeks, and then covered it in clear shellac. So
now you don't know what's in there.
We don't know what's underneath.
Don't cut into him. Don't cut into Pizza the Hut. All right. Now I'm going to get to questions that other people had from all over the world. Oh, very good. But the first one is the best fan ever is my wife. Well, I'm a fan of my wife. She's not big time into Star Wars, but she's watched them all because I have many times. All right. She wants you to tell the story about how you happen to have a tattoo with Carrie Fisher's signature on your arm.
I was just going to bring that up because I didn't want to forget that. I'm getting too old to be famous and probably not looking good enough to be famous anymore. So I've had a tattoo of Carrie Fisher on my arm.
We have a camera going. Show our camera.
About, I would say 18 years. Wow. Well, 7 years ago, I went to L.A. to the 30-year celebration, and Carrie was there, and I got the bright idea, I need a really cool story. So after waiting 2 hours, I finally got to Carrie, and I asked her if she'd autograph my arm. Now, I took a bunch of other items just in case she was a little uncomfortable with that.
I bet she's autographed other things.
And and she'd been signing for about 2 days, and she was kind of tired and everything, but this was just different enough. And she let me take a picture of her actually signing it, of course, for authenticity.
Sure, you got to have that.
You got to have that. And then she was kind enough to show me her tattoo.
Really?
Really. And that was kind of fun. And, of course, it wasn't of me.
Oh, what a bummer. It should have had Don Zucker on it.
She didn't ask me to sign it.
Oh, man.
But anyway, that was fun. And so we've tried to make the arm famous. And
so she signs it, and then you went right to the tattoo shop.
Right. You would think it would be easy to find a tattoo shop in L.A., but this was like about 9 at night after we'd finished. And I didn't feel comfortable walking around the streets of
a little bit scary
for a tattoo parlor in the alley. But on the way to dinner that night, we passed by a place and it was open. So I just sent everybody else I was with to dinner. I went in, and the young tattoo artist happened to be a Star Wars fan. He happened to just have somebody cancel, so he tattooed in the signature before it rubbed off. Because I was walking around L.A. with my sleeve rolled up, and
hot and muggy.
I didn't want it to get wiped off.
And then he actually did a picture of Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
Slave Leia.
Ooh, it's nice. It's my favorite. Yeah, that is my favorite figure. I mean, duh.
Yeah, come on. Well, it looks pretty awesome, and it's a great story, and I think, do a lot of people ask to see it?
Yes, they do. Yeah, it's amazing. Of course, I've got several blown up pictures around the store. But what that started was when I came back, I blew up the picture, hung it up on the wall, patting myself on the back, thinking I was really cool. Then I got to thinking, gee, I'll just start taking pictures of everybody that comes in the store with a Star Wars tattoo. And we've probably got 500 people.
I was just going to say,
on the wall.
Yeah.
I've kind of run out of room. I don't know. I guess I'll start putting the pictures on the ceiling.
Right.
But that's really blossomed into the fun part. I have people stop in just to get on the wall and not buy anything.
Well, I had a friend named Kenny who came in a few years ago with me, and he, since that time, has gotten R2-D2 on his, I think his calf, I think, and it's fantastic. So I'll have to have, when he comes up this way again, I'll have to have him come show you.
Yes. When I was at the 30-year celebration, a gentleman from Canada had put together an encyclopedia of Star Wars tattoos. And it's the size of and he was at this 30-year celebration to promote the book. So I wasn't in time to get my arm in there. But he actually came to the store about 6 months ago. And I had him sign some of his copies. And man, it's just full of tattoos.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay. Rick Dostey, the guy that actually produces this podcast, he's from Michigan, and he wants to know if you've ever, ask him if he's ever had trouble selling an item because he wanted to keep it for himself.
Only in the start of all this.
After a while, you don't hold on to anything too careful?
Well, what happens is back in the day, we would overprice our favorite things, hoping they wouldn't sell. And then they would. So at this point now, after doing it 18 years, the minute we sell a really nice item and we get another really nice item, and it's different. So what we've decided is we enjoyed it, we had it, we loved it, and now we've let it move on to make somebody else happy.
Well, that's a good idea. And plus the fact that, I mean, you can just come in and you get to be here every single day immersed in this world of Star Wars, and that's got to be a gift all in itself.
Oh, it's super because, again, you come to art, but just being around the store all day long, I almost, not quite, hate to go home and face reality.
Oh, so I bet.
I'm trying not to watch a lot of the newscasts because in here it's just a whole different world.
Sure, and you get to meet a lot of really cool people.
Oh, very cool people, very nice people.
And now you're getting a phone call. Do you need to answer that?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. A gentleman by the name of Sebastian Pruth, he is the producer of Star Trek The Continuing Mission, is an audio drama of Star Trek stuff. He's also a Star Wars fan. He asks, he's from California, and he wants to know about your Holy Grail item. What is the one thing you've always wanted, either for yourself or to sell in your shop? Your White Rabbit. What is the one thing you've really wanted to have?
Well, the one thing I really want, and I've never seen one, is the rocket-firing Boba Fett that supposedly there's under 25 of them out there in the world. And it's probably the item that if I had the money, I would certainly purchase.
Super expensive, huh?
It's super. It was on one of the TV shows, the guys that go around to different places hunting toys.
Right.
And they had one. I think it sold for about $20,000.
Wow. For a little guy.
For a little figure.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Well, there you go, Sebastian. He answered your question. All right. Jeff Job, he is from Canada, said, what is the oddest thing that ever came into your shop?
Well, I get a lot of people from Canada. I mean, I get as many people from Canada as any foreign country. Of course, it's close.
Sure.
One of the oddest things was some guy had a stormtrooper tattooed on his butt. He said he was just having a really good day that day.
Oh, my goodness.
But as far as merchandise, there's so many strange things that come in. And every day somebody brings something in that even after doing it 20 years, I've never seen before.
Wow. That's pretty cool. All right. Okay. So Angie from Raymond says, what piqued? Oh, we already answered what piqued your interest in wanting the store. And by the way, she says it's off the hook. Thank you for your store. What Star Wars element or the element of Star Wars fits best compared to your own life?
I'd have to say it's the good guy rescuing the princess from the bad guys.
That is very, very interesting.
Bottom line.
It's
It's a fantasy, I picture myself.
Sure. You're like Luke Skywalker or Han Solo.
Oh, it's got to be Han Solo. Yeah, it got to be.
Oh, by the way, who shot first?
Boy, that's a no-brainer. A Han did. In fact, I've got a life-size. I've got life-size Greedo here that's got part of his face blown away.
That's awesome. A lady from Central Park wrote on my Facebook page, Dawn, who did that rockin' mural outside?
My son's good friend, Hans Reiter, he's done some local art here around Aberdeen. And a couple, 3 years ago, he was going to college, and he was kind of bored a little bit. And he said, Don, if you'll give me a couple, 3 Star Wars ships of my choice and buy the paint, I'll do the mural for free.
Wow.
And that's the best thing we ever did. I mean, it came out just wonderful.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Tourists stopped to take pictures.
The only bad part is it's on the wrong side.
Well, you would think that.
Yeah.
However, I get as many people that were going down Wishkah and seen it in the rearview mirror and then, of course, Billy's and Jack in the Box, they're in there eating, they see it.
Or they're coming down from Westport or something.
We get the traffic coming from that way.
Well, it is fantastic. I can sit there. I actually sometimes will just sit there and look at it because it's so cool. His take on the characters and stuff was just enough cartoony, but also enough real that it was kind of cool.
Well, there's a wall in Olympia that was done back in '94, and it's the side of a building. That's kind of where we got the idea. But the characters are like they looked in the movie, so we decided to do it a little more like we did. Plus, the Clone Wars was out, and the anime figure, things like that. Sure. And I was a little apprehensive at first, but when we got it done, it was wonderful. Yeah. And about a month after we had finished it, I came back from getting a hamburger at Jack in the Box, and here in the store was the mayor, the chief of police, the downtown art director. Wow. And my first thought is, I didn't get approval.
Right.
I may be painting over that.
And what'd they do?
Well, they came to give us a little award, a little plaque for helping Aberdeen.
For beautifying the city.
Beautifying the city. Well, the mayor had kept driving by and seen tourists stopping constantly to take pictures, and that's kind of what we were trying to do, is we want them to stop and not just drive through town. Absolutely. So that worked out beautiful.
That's awesome. Well, it's a beautiful mural, and I've got lots of pictures up, and I'll put more up as we go so people can see it. Let's see. Oh, Scott says, and I'm not sure where Scott is from. He says, does he sell the droids I'm looking for?
All the merchandise is what people are looking for, and it's for sale, and you can buy it.
And you can't use the Force in here. It doesn't work on Nubians. Right? Right, okay. And then the last comment I have is I remember seeing the first episode in downtown Aberdeen at the Aberdeen Theater. So this brings back a lot of memories for folks.
Well, the second funnest thing in our store is having older people, not really older people, but people that seen the first 3 come in and watching him spend 2 or 3 hours regressing to their childhood. Yeah. Now that's a feature we don't charge for. And and then we've made it a take it out, touch it, play with it store, so the little kids just can go bonkers, have fun, have a great time. Nothing sacred in our store.
That's funny. Somebody just wrote, as we were doing the interview, somebody said, do you notice the light poles in front of his store? And then what's different about them?
Well, what I did is I run into the mayor at Walmart about 6 months ago, and I because of the wall, I thought, gee, he's probably going to be in a good mood. So I told him I had another project in mind. Why don't you stop at the store and we'll chat? And so he came in, and there's 2 big metal poles out in front of my store that hold a sign for the theater.
Right.
And I got to thinking, boy, they'd make perfect lightsabers. So I told him I wanted to paint. There's one on each side of the street, and I'd pay for the paint if the city would let me. So the mayor goes and talks to whoever, calls me back a few days later and says, yeah, go ahead. And we've almost got them completed. I'm trying to find somebody that'll paint the tips for me.
That's a long ways up there.
I've gotten up 20 feet, but that last 5 is
that's a good.
Really good. They're looking good.
You know what? I have a friend. I'll talk to him. He has a professional company that has a lift bucket.
Oh, I'd love it. And then I had another guy stop me the other day and told me that he would pay for the fluorescent duct tape to put on the lightsaber part, so at night when you drove through town,
it glowed.
It would glow.
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
That is awesome. Well, Don,
maybe that'll be next summer's project.
That's awesome. Well, I tell you what, Don, this is what an honor and a privilege to be able to interview a man with so many awesome stories, and you do have so many things. I think every time we come in, I end up staying here twice as long as I figured I would.
Well, Rick, I really appreciate this. Anything that gets us out there in the media is wonderful, and because I know these people coming in. Right now I still get people every day, at least 2 or 3 times a week, that live in Aberdeen that have never been here.
Yeah, it's like
and when they come in, it just blows them away.
Like, wait, this has been here this whole time. Yeah.
So that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is a good feeling, and you're doing a great job here. It's a lot of fun. And okay, so if people want to come, they want to find you. What's the address here? This is Aberdeen, Washington.
It's 413 East Wishkah Street. It's right next door to Selmer's Furniture, great big furniture store on the side. Plenty of parking right here.
Kitty corner to Jack in the Box.
Right, kitty corner. When you see the Jack in the Box sign, that's the parking lot.
Right.
And we're open every day from about 11:30 to 5:30. It's summer, we stay open a little longer. I've left my number in the window, so if anybody's from out of town and is here and wants to get in and it's after hours, have them call me. Okay. And if I'm in town, I'll come down and let them enjoy the store.
And if they need to get a hold of you for some reason over the internet, they can get a hold of me and I can get a hold of you.
Exactly.
All right, great. Okay, excellent. Well, someday I'm still wanting to do a really cool project where I come in and take a bunch of. I've already done a few pictorials on it, but I thought it might be fun to do a website where people can kind of explore, maybe even do a virtual tour. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, that now we have the technology, we can do that.
And with Disney taking over, the interest is just going to catch on fire.
Oh, I know.
It's going to be there for 15, 20 more years.
Yeah. At least.
It's
going to outlive us. I'm telling you what. This is crazy. Well, thank you, Don, for being part of the Treks and Sci-Fi podcast. I'm sure that all our listeners have enjoyed the interview, and we just want to say thanks for being a holder of the torch of Star Wars. How cool is that? So thank you for being on the show.
You bet. We're just another brick in the wall,
right.
But it's great. It's great. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.